Hey, what's going on, Flash Mob? In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about one of the most important pieces of gear in your toolbox, and that's your tripod. Today, we're going to look at the CAMGEAR Mark IV tripod system and see if this is a good option for that entry-level to mid-level shooter. If it's your first time here, welcome. My channel is all about helping you turn your passion into paychecks whilst taking you along my filmmaking journey. If that's the kind of thing that you're into, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Basically, every review that I saw on these tripods said the same thing. They're extremely comparable to the Sockler systems at a fraction of the price. And that is where things can get really interesting. So this tripod system comes in three main parts. So you have your head, which in this case is the Mark IV series. You have the MSAL legs, and you have your mid-level spreader. Let's take a look at this head real quick. So this particular head is made out of aluminum, and your tripod head needs to be made out of something tough because honestly, these things take a beating. The last thing you want to do is have a tripod head that's made out of something like plastic and it falls or bumps something a couple of times and that's it. You can't use it no more. So this one's actually made out of aluminum. Very tough, very nice feel, and pretty much going to be able to take a beating. And just looking at this head, one thing that really stood out to me is that all the controls are on one side of the camera. So if you take a look at this here, your tilt is all on one side right here. Your plate locking mechanism is also right here. And then your pan control is also right here. So why this kind of thing is important is pretend there's a camera on here and you want to open up your pan and tilt and then move the camera and start capturing your shot. And let's say now you're doing your thing, you're going through, you're following whatever's happening. And then let's just say you want to lock the tilt. You can do it right here without taking your hand off of the tripod. And why something like this is important is because let's say you have a camera on top of the tripod and you're panning, you're tilting, you're doing everything. And let's just say that, you want to lock your pan. You go ahead and lock it here without ever having to take your hand off of the tripod. And then just as easily, you unlock it and you get access to the tilt and pan again. So the drag control on these tripods are actually their strong points. And this is what everybody talks about when you hear the name CAMGEAR. So their drag controls are set right here on the bottom part here. You get up to 4 stages. And also your tilt controls are right here, which also gives you up to 4 stages. And when you take the time and you unlock it here, you unlock everything, you can really start feeling how smooth this movement is. Right now I have it at the level 4, which is its highest option. And going from left to right, going up and down, yeah, this is certainly on par with a much more expensive tripod. And let's check out the other ones. So let's go back down to 1 now. And wow, look at that. Look at this. Look at how smooth that is. Look at that. Incredible. Which actually leads me to the next thing about tripods that you need to pay attention to, and that is your counterbalance. So if you've never heard of counterbalance before, it's essentially what allows you to get counterbalance on your camera. So let's actually put a camera on here and see how that works. So right away, once we put a camera on there, you can see that with no counterbalance, the camera just going to dip and fall whichever way it wants to go. When you start increasing that counterbalance, it starts adding a little bit more resistance in terms of if that camera wants to fall or not. So at level 3, we can see that it's still slightly out of balance. At this point, what I would probably do is lock the head and I will slide the camera back a little bit, unlock it again, and have a look now. As you guys can see, it's starting to get to that point where I can almost leave it wherever I want it to and it'll stay there. So we're at level 3. Let's go up to level 4, do the same test. So that's pretty good. Still dipping a little bit, not too much. Let's go up to level 5. And now this system has 6 levels of counterbalance. So I'm pretty sure no matter what type of camera or body you put on here, you're going to be able to find a counterbalance. So let's check this out at level 5. And there we go. So I can rest this camera anywhere, any position, and it'll pretty much stay where I need it to be. Let's just see level 6 just to see. If you go to level 6, as you can see, it's starting to tilt back up just a little bit because it's fighting the resistance of the weight. So in this case, we're going to go back to 5, and that seems like our sweet spot for this camera and its weight. So perfect. Now, why your counterbalance is important is because when you're actually operating the camera, you don't want to be fighting with the tripod. You want it to be able to move as smoothly as possible in any direction that you put it in and be able to move it with the most minimal amount of effort. And also, it's a huge safety thing. Like, look at this camera. Look at the size of this lens and look at the size of this body. You think if I let go of this tripod, I want this crashing down and falling? No, I need it to just stay wherever it's at. I'll give you guys an example here. Let's go back down to number one on the counterbalance. So it's completely out of balance. And now look at this. The camera will just continually fall down. If you do this with a heavier camera, it could potentially fall so fast that the entire camera and tripod falls to the ground. And this is not something that you should be doing at any level. So yeah, let's go back up to 5. Test it out one more time. And as I'm operating the camera, like I said, the minimal amount of effort is being used to move this camera in any direction that I need it to go. And it just feels fantastic. So when you see a tripod and those prices are higher and higher, it's usually because they have a lot of counterbalance and drag controls. So on this one, there's only 4. So on some of the more expensive tripods, you'll get like 5, 6, or even 8 different levels of drag control. And then again, more counterbalance options as well. From what I'm seeing right now, though, with this particular tripod system and just how easy the controls work and where everything is, this is really, really good in terms of what you're getting at this price point. So I just want to say really quickly, guys, if this is your first, second, or maybe your third or fourth time watching one of my videos and you haven't subscribed yet, take a second right now to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And if this video so far has been helping you in any way, go ahead and hit the like button as well so other people can watch it too. So before we go down to the legs of the tripod, let's talk about one more thing that I think is pretty important. Now, I'm going to go ahead and unlock it real quick. I want to show you guys something that's pretty important. So let's lock all the other ways that the tripod moves. Cool. So the plate is unlocked. You can see that it's wobbling. It's all wobbly and whatever. I should turn it to the side. Yeah, so it's all wobbly now and it can slide forward and backwards, but there is a hard stop on this head. So if you look at it here, I can go here, it won't unlock. Go here, it won't unlock. The only way to get this to actually come off of the tripod head is to hit this red button right here. So what you do, hit the red button, then you can drag it off, and now you have your camera handheld. And then what's really good is that when you're ready to get it back on, you slide it in, you should hear a click. When you hear that click, you know that it's securely in the tripod head. And what you do is you slide it wherever you need it to go, and you lock it back down. I'll tell you guys, it is super important to have the correct plate on your tripod system. I remember one year I was shooting a wedding in Jamaica and I had my camera on my tripod and I was using a plate that wasn't for it. And I had it slung over my shoulder like this. And literally every step I was taking, the plate was sliding a little bit more out of the tripod. And because it was the wrong one, it didn't have a safety catch on it. So guess what happened? The entire camera, lens, and everything fell off the tripod. And literally my heart stopped. So I said to myself, this will never, ever happen again. So whenever I choose a tripod and I look at it, the first thing that I look for is, does it have a safety catch option? And this little mechanism can save you thousands of dollars in a bad situation. So the next thing we're going to look at is the actual pan bar. So this does come with the system as well, so you'll be happy to know that. And literally all it is a bar that attaches to the head via a rosette system. And what you can do with that is rotate it in any type of orientation that you want to have it in so that you can pan the camera. And finally, on this head, you have the bubble level. And all this really does is let you know if the camera's horizon is leveled. Now, unfortunately, on this one, it is not illuminated. So what that means is you will have to either get a flashlight or be in a well-lit place to make sure that it is leveled. And this little thing is important because every single time you move this camera, whether you move it from here to another location, or you raise or lower the legs, you are going to have to re-level the head. So make sure you do that. So let's do that real quick. It's just a quick turn of this knob here. You move it around until you find the level point with the bubble. Right about there. And you can just lock it back like that. Simple, easy. So now let's look at the legs. The tripod legs are obviously important to the system because, well, it holds up the entire structure. So good sturdy legs are absolutely essential to any tripod. So these legs are definitely not something that you've never seen before. I use the classic tripod design where you use these knobs to either raise or lower it. Nothing new, nothing special. It feels like it's made out of the same aluminum that we saw in the head, which makes it, again, very durable and something that I would say that you absolutely need to have if you're going to be using a tripod system, because these things are going to get beat up. No matter what you do or what you say, your tripod is going to get beat up. They do also use a 3-stage system, which means you can get it pretty low and you can actually get it pretty high. Now, for my personal taste, after using the Sockler Flowtech system, these knobs are just not going to do it for me. But again, when we're talking about a price difference from one or the other, this is where those kind of things become significant, because this is going to be a lot cheaper than trying to go for those Sockler Flowtech legs. Now, let's take a look and see what this thing's minimum and maximum height is. So its minimum height is about 31 inches, and its maximum height is about 61.5 inches. Let's see how much this thing weighs. Now, for reference, I'm about 200 pounds. Today, about 203. And while I was holding the tripod, about 213 pounds. So call it about 10 pounds altogether. So let's take a look at its feet. So they're actually very similar to the Sockler Flowtech feet. They have these little rubber pads that keep it from slipping on normal surfaces. And if you actually take them off, just pull this thing here and lift, you actually expose their spikes. And these are good for things like grass or ice or any of those type of surfaces where you just need it to dig into it a little bit. And what I love about them is just how easy it is to get these pads on and off. So to put them back on, just line them up, pull this little rubber back down, and you're good to go. Very easy. All right, so the last piece of this puzzle that we're going to look at is the actual spreader. So the spreader on a tripod is a key element because it's what gives it all of its stability. So if I were to try to move this tripod in any direction, because of this spreader, it's going to hold its ground and not fold up and collapse on itself. What I love about this spreader is that it has these little twist knobs that allow you to extend or shorten the spreader. So what you can do actually is do this, slide them in like that. Do the same thing with the last one. And that gives you a much smaller profile. So the legs are not spread out as far. You still get the stability of the tripod that you're looking for, and you don't take up as much space when you're operating. So I can think of an example like this is like if you're at a wedding or something like that, where there's just not a lot of space for you to operate, and you need to be as close or as small as possible. You can slide in the spreader and just have a really small profile. Now, obviously, with a more narrow base, you don't have as much stability as if you were to have this spread out completely. But for me, it's just great having both options. And then if for whatever reason you don't want the spreader on at all, you actually just hit this little button here and you can actually pull out the spreader altogether. Now, again, I don't know why you would want to do that. Maybe, I don't know, you want to get a little bit lower to the ground. I don't know. But for me personally, I will always keep the spreader on. And it's just so easy. Just line it back up, hit the button again, and it'll lock back onto the tripod. Very simple, very smart mechanism. So the last thing I want to showcase with this system is its carry case. Now, personally, I judge companies for their cases. If you have terrible cases with cheap zippers and whatever other kind of crap that's not high quality, and you expect me to hold your product in it, it tells me a lot about you. And what I love about CAMGEAR is that they understand that, and they made a carry case that you can rely on to take this tripod from point A to point B safely. Let's take a look at it real quick. So the first thing I notice is that it opens up really nice and wide to make it easy for you to get the tripod inside. Just do that, slide it in. You have these nice little straps in here that you can use to secure it so it's not jumping and ducking all over the place. And all that's left is zipping it up. And you are good to go. So what are my final thoughts? Now, when you think about a tripod system like this, that's made out of a great material, amazing drag system control, comes with a head, legs, spreader, and arm in a beautiful carrying case. You would think something like this is about, I don't know, maybe $1,500. But what's crazy is you get all of those things for $755. When I think about some of the other tripods in this price range, it's seriously not even a comparison when you think about the quality and what you're actually getting. In my honest opinion, if you're a beginner looking for your first tripod, or you're at that mid-level stage where you now have a camera that you built a rig out for, you need something a little bit more stable, this is a fantastic option for you to look into. I will definitely leave a link in the description so you can have a look at this product in more detail. And if you're ready, you can also make a purchase online. That's going to be pretty much it for this video, guys. I want to say thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, guys. And remember to look, learn, and share. Take it easy, guys. Peace.